October 16th, village board meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public hearing. Local sidewalk law amendment. Somebody like to open a public hearing? Motion to do that?
Make a motion, we open the public hearing for the local sidewalk law amendment.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes, excuse absent board members.
Motion to approve the minutes?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vouchers, approval of the vouchers, please.
The vouchers as audited, the general fund, $57,573.93. The water, $79,123.05. The sewer, $26,612.37. And the capital, $174,263.55. Audited these bills, and I move that they all be paid.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unfinished business, 5 streets reconstruction project.
I'll let Matt talk about it.
So we're just finalizing a couple things, and mostly the paperwork and the finances on your end, Joe. Yeah, not much really to report.
That's about it, huh?
Yeah, unless you have
Ken?
any questions or anything.
Later on, I'll have something that involved with the 5 Streets project from Municipal Solutions. That's basically working, closing out our bonds. But we're gonna have to do a motion on that. All right, moving on to phase 2 wastewater treatment plant.
So, in terms of construction right now, not much happened the last month. NCC was on site doing some odds and ends work on the blower building, number 2. Other than that, not much going on right now. Gearing up for spring to start here. We're making some progress with APG. We're getting liner submittals from them. We're working with them, so we'll be in good shape for them to start this spring. Talking with you guys about the rebidding the aeration and diffuser equipment. We're working on that. We're hoping to get out the rebid here in the next couple of weeks to get that moving so that can start in the spring as well. And then I do have one pay app here as well for NCC. I'll need you to sign tonight, Joe. And that's it for wastewater.
Is that North Country?
Yes. Yep.
That it?
Yep, that's it.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, Matt? or-
No, sorry.
Groundwater well development.
So we had a good meeting with the DEC last week or a few weeks back. I think we're finally making progress with them on getting the water supply permits wrapped up. We'll be responding to their comments here soon. We're still awaiting DOH to respond back to us on our resubmission. I think Matt talked with Mike Tracy and should hopefully be getting back to us soon.
Yeah, I talked to him last week, and he was gonna flip through those plans this week. I haven't heard back from him yet to see if we're.
We're still hoping to possibly bid it in March, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we put it out to bid in March, a month, yeah. We're definitely on track to get it done this year.
And I talked with Mike Tracy yesterday, and
Oh,
he
good.
said he's putting that right on the fast track, so he said he should get something back to you by next week.
Oh, good, okay, good. He said that he was gonna look at it on Monday and put it on the fast track. I just didn't know what the fast track meant, so it sounds like we're on it, though, that's
Yeah.
good.
Is that all you guys got?
That's all I got for groundwater right now. Yep.
Street lighting LED conversion program. That seems to be moving along pretty good. I know this past week, nobody's been working, but I talked to Sean Cox yesterday from Window. He expects the LED crew to be back in town, working in the village a lot with that as of next week. And one of the things that's holding them up a little bit, they're waiting on a permit from the state of New York so they can work on North State Street and South State Street and up on the Four Corner area. But he said hopefully next week they'll be back to do our Hillcrests and Hillside Drive and down here around Lowville Commons and catch up with some of these that they've missed. Hopefully we'll see them back in town next week. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, moving on, rezoning of industrial zones. Tim's put some information out there for everybody. Did you get that, Joe?
I did.
When I spoke with Joe earlier, I told him that I haven't really had a chance to really review this that much because I've been busy at work, but basically it's creating a new zone, neighborhood commercial 2, which I don't know if the rest of you guys have the map in front of you. I sent it to everybody email, and I don't think it's been in, you didn't put it in here.
No.
But look it over here in the next month. And it used to be an industrial zone right from Kraft, straight down through the center of the village, down the railroad bed basically, and right up through to the fairgrounds up in there. But the center section of that has been changed or proposed to be changed to the neighborhood commercial 2. And the proposed draft for the resolution was prepared by Cassandra. She just kind of wanted to lay it out there because there's a lot to it. So I and Joe could review. It's not, it's not a finished product yet. And I think basically I need to come back and look at some of the definitions, or maybe we have to add some more definitions. And we took the actual lot size and frontage and depth and all that right from the other neighborhood commercial zone, and now neighborhood commercial 2 zone. So there's some work to be done, but if you get some time over the next month here, look it over and draft up any questions, and because it's a big proposal. I mean, there's a lot to it. So, but that center zone, if we don't do something with people moving in and out of there, there's no industrial going to go back through that center zone and down through the railroad bed anytime soon anyway. So looking to maybe get some.
But it will make it easier for future expansion down the road for other
Correct.
businesses.
Yes. Yep, so that's where we're at with that, so. Do you have anything on it?
Nope, not right now.
Yeah.
Village code update. I think Danielle's done a good job on that. She may want to fill us in on where we're at. I know she's got copies back, I think.
Yep, so that's been completed through December 31st, so the website should be all up to date with the code. And we have all the copies, so we're gonna update the physical hard copies of the code book. So if any of you have them, you can give them to us and we can update them for you. And then going forward, obviously, we just updated it. We'll have this public hearing for the local law sidewalk change. So I think going forward, we were gonna look at it like every 6 months to see about updating it. So, working on getting it's hard to get a proposal or like a budget amount because it's all based on how many codes we end up doing throughout the year. But I'm gonna talk to Mary Beth, so for budget purposes, we can kind of plan for, say, I don't know, 10, just to be on the safe side or something like that. But we'll update it every 6 months going forward, unless there's a lot more changes in a short amount of time. So, that's that.
Village and town comprehensive plan, I think we're on track with that. Village, we sent the seeker information and everything to the county planning board, and we're on their agenda for tomorrow, so. And after we hear back from them, then we can go ahead and schedule our public hearing for the community. Right now, it's moving forward and it's on track. Anybody have any questions? Local law amendment sidewalks, we'll leave the public hearing open and move along. The next big one affects both the town and the village, is Lewis County Facilities Improvement Project. County wanting to be lead agency. I thought a lot about this one. I talked to Joe about drafting the county a letter. You guys have a copy, but forget it because I've I won't say totally, but I've changed that letter this afternoon. More I thought about it. And basically what I'm looking for, if the village wants the county to be lead agency, I think we need to send them this letter. Basically, RE County Facilities Improvement Project, Secor, I figure the letter should go to Mr. Pichet and also their county attorney. The only thing that you all have, I think, I added to that letter, well, I'll tell you what I added. I added the village is requiring a good faith security deposit of $100,000 to be held for 2 years after completion of the project to ensure that no issues arise. The security deposit will be refunded to your county so long as no matters arising from the construction of such project occurs. Thank you, and let us know if you have any questions or concerns. And that's the only change I made to that letter that you guys have. If anybody wants to see the one I changed, it's right. I just did it this afternoon, but I'm just trying to protect the village so we don't have a problem like we did
Mayor,
with the Hospital Hill project.
I totally agree with that. And I think above and beyond that, we should also have an agreement in writing, which with a past issue, we know it didn't amount to anything because we ended up being taxed and lost the court. But I think that if we pass a
They'd
motion
go on
tonight,
official letterhead and everything. But
if we pass a motion tonight, that motion is contingent on that letter. The other question I have is to Mr. Russell. Do they have a right to pass seeker without approval from the boards that give up lead agency?
Yeah, once you give up lead agency, you're done with the seeker.
Let me repeat the question.
Yeah.
The question is, can they be the lead agency before getting permission from us?
No, they have. Well, there's two subjects here. First, there's a 30-day period from when they send a letter to you asking for lead agency status. If they don't receive a response in that 30 days, you're deemed to have acknowledged and accepted it. Okay. If you if you do want to let them be lead agency and you want to impose some conditions, as the mayor is putting in there, you can do that. If in fact we don't have an established lead agency by the time they're ready to move, then you got to go to the DEC and they answer that they resolve the issue as far as who's lead agency and who's not.
was he at the last county board meeting? They authorized themselves to be lead agency.
Right, that's the first step. They do that as a first step, and then they send the notices out to the other involved agencies. You either consent or don't consent. If you consent with some conditions, and they don't want to comply with those conditions, then your consent is deemed withdrawn, and you're objecting. So,
The next question I have is, as our superintendent and anybody else that needs to seen the design plans of any of these projects at this point.
Can you pass that down to Joe? You want to take a quick look at
Sure.
that? 'Cause I modified stuff you sent.
Yep.
See what you,
I haven't seen anything, Dan.
I say it's just a rough draft and put on official paper.
It's fine with me. The only thing I would add is if this is not acceptable to the
Yeah.
county, we do not consent to you being lead agency. I would add that.
So it's up to the board whether they want to authorize me to send that letter or not.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did you say aye?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought maybe you'd abstain me.
No, I don't see no reason for you to stay on something like that, I mean, right? I mean,
Right, no, there's no reason.
4-0, 4-1, don't matter.
That's what I mean. Is that common practice to have conditions on that? No?
It's not common practice, but if you've got some concerns, you should raise those, and then they've got to pay attention. Once they're a lead agency and they go through this, they agree to all of that, they have to pay special attention to the issues you've raised. They got to address them in their findings.
Tim, and I don't really have any issues with the current board, but it gnaws at me, and it will always gnaw at me, that 20 years ago, we had an agreement that was signed by the mayor, which was me at the time, and the chairman of their board, and one of the people that moved to keep us from being taxed, 3 or 4 years later, moved to tax us. We went to court, we lost. We went to Supreme Court, we lost. So I don't put much faith in any kind of written memorandum that we have, because it sounds to me like one board can't hold another board liable.
Well, that's why I'm looking for security.
I betcha. I agree with you, Joe.
And just make sure you add into the letter that if they don't agree with the conditions, then you're objecting to their lead agency.
Part of their secret, from what I was told, I haven't seen it,
Did you get that written down?
is the lead fire department for this is Bus Leiden. Jeez. I
The
would
problem
hate
is with the seeker, though, the seeker doesn't really affect the village.
No.
That's all on the town side of things.
But that just
They're the
shows
ones
why
that should deal with that, not
you should have
us.
some concerns. And I was told that the secrets were processed last night at the committee.
I don't even think they need a secret for what they want to
I
do.
think they do, because there is some additional runoff up there, right?
Sure.
Somebody said that, I should quote this, but something on the plans that there was an additional, some kind of runoff on that new structure up there.
Well, that's the problem, we haven't seen anything.
Right.
We have no idea what they're gonna do. We've heard from people, but I haven't seen anything in writing.
Well, after they get this letter, maybe we'll hear more.
But Joe, like you said, if they can go to the DEC, right?
If
And then
they don't
DEC
get,
will
if they get
tell you-
objections, if they get objections from some of the other
The
involved
town runs the
agencies,
village.
then they go to the DEC and ask for the DEC to make the decision.
Right.
And you get a chance to argue it at the same time, so why you want it. And I guess basically what you're saying is if you guys don't want to comply with our conditions, then we want to be lead agency, so.
Well, quite a few years ago, there was a problem caused, we just don't want to
Right.
go there again.
I understand, yeah.
Okay. I still think we should leave that. Does anybody that come in, anybody got a comment on the local sidewalk law? Or just leave it open for a few more minutes. Okay. Craft surcharges under new business. January 2022, 5,000. That's basically, there was no sewer charges, I believe. This is just for the water, for them going over. The municipal board approved it, I believe. We just need to approve it also.
I'll make the motion to approve that. Surcharge for January.
All in favor?
Just a side note on that, to let you know how well that we're working with Kraft, I actually had Eric Lee call me to let me know that they've had a problem down there. They were trying to find out where the problem was, and they found that they were gonna correct it. they have corrected it. I have no idea where the problem was, but it's nice to be on good communications with Kraft. He kind of gave me a heads up, so we knew that, you know, their usage was gonna be a little bit higher than what it has been here in the last couple of months, so it's good to be on that good working relationship with them.
They've, Paul, just to follow up on that, they've had some, you know, a little bit of hiccups or whatever, but that's gone on for quite a while, hasn't it? I mean, the relationship that we've had with them has been pretty solid for a while now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
I just wanted to give it.
yep.
Okay, independent accounts agreed upon procedure report. Everybody should have got this report. It's basically our yearly audit for the village, all our accounts, all our justice court accounts and everything, so. Looked like it turned out to be a pretty decent audit. And while I'm talking audits, this will be in the office. If anybody wants to look at the Valley View Housing Authority's audit, this is their audit, will be in the office. If anybody wants to check in on that. They have to be audited yearly also. So does anybody have any questions on our audit? If not, I believe we need a motion to accept it.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is something new. Paul and I both had quite a few complaints. Plus it's tough to get a snowplow up there on Waters Terrace. And the other day I went through there and I was wondering how hard it'd be to get a fire truck up through there.
I noticed it today, actually.
Right now, in our code, on Waters Terrace, it says no parking on north, from North State Street to Easton Street. And I'm thinking what we need to do is just change that to both sides. We have some other spots in our code book, like I think West State Street's listed that way as both sides. So I'm just wondering if the board's agreeable to amend that local law to make no parking on both sides of Waters Terrace.
I got one comment. I mean, I went by there today, and you're right, Joe. There was 20 cars lined up that one side. But my problem is, where are they gonna go from there? Is it gonna create another problem? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna park somewhere. Where's that gonna be? I mean, that might not be the way to look at it, but you're saying that you can't get a snowplow through there? Or
We can.
I mean, it's been like that for quite a while, is what I'm
Yes.
saying. So,
But I had 4 homeowners come to me.
okay.
They're having problems getting out of their driveways because now the cars are parked so tight and there's so many up there. So that's why we brought it up to the board.
Some of them might have to move down to the veterans. I know that's getting pretty tight down there some days.
That's not what I was getting at.
But you've got the, right off Bostic Street, the
Right.
parking lot there, which I counted today, there was 5 cars parked there. You know, I know it's gonna be an inconvenience for the kids.
But they can walk from that parking lot real easy, so.
But
There's
another
no
issue,
option there.
another issue that we have that kind of goes right along with this is at, when school's out at 3 o'clock, 3:30, the traffic backing up. Well, that's because the kids are going across the crosswalk all the time. Well, if you have less people, if you have nobody parking on Waters Terrace, you have less people crossing the road there, maybe that'll alleviate the problem at Davenport and going downtown and everything else, you know. I guess there's a few ways to look at it. But we just brought it up because some homeowners.
And the school probably wouldn't like me saying this, but if you drive down Bostic Street, just before you get to their parking lot, there's a house. But there's a space right there where a house was tore down, and there's actually a curb cut and everything there. It's all fenced in. Really, all they have to do is take the trees down, they can make a parking lot right there for their students.
I guess we're looking at, you know, safety-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, plows going down the street, coming down Waters Terrace, somebody opens their door, boom. I mean, it could be pretty bad.
Safety trumps all.
Plus, I'd like to make a comment, please. You know, if, I'm all for going for this, but also, I think it needs to be communicated to the school and to the kids through school. You know, if they're gonna park in Veterans Park, that's where the county employees park all the time. So where are the county employees gonna park if the kids get there to school earlier and hog up all the parking spots? So, you know, I think, you know, other
Well,
than
the
just
thing
make a
is-
law, you gotta make it known
Well,
what to do about it.
the other thing with Veterans Park though, actually, and I'm not sure how many people here know it, but you go down into the Legion lot there. That's one reason the village sand sweeps and plows that, is they have an agreement with the Legion that we can use that for parking. That's why they have areas that are marked for Legion members only, but the other spaces that anybody in the village can use.
But should it also be the Village of Lowville's responsibility for parking for Lowville Academy?
I think communication needs to be put all the way around for this
Yeah.
stuff in order for it to work, other than just handing out parking tickets and stuff.
You know, Charlie, I agree with you, but you know what I find funny? Some of these kids park their cars further away from school than it is to walk from their home, just so they can say they drove to school. And back 25 years ago, we almost had a fist fight over on, what's the street with the
Oh, don't ask me.
water, is it, the street over here where, the chiropractors, Walsman, is that Waters? Woodlawn, thank you. So anyways, we created no parking there, and I did just what you said. I communicated with, at the time it was Bill Wormwood, and he said, the village's parking problems aren't the schools. And I said, okay. So the next year, he's not the superintendent, they come in and complain about all the parking spaces that we had eliminated, and I says, the school's problem isn't the village's problem. Now, I don't want to say that that's the issue here, because I agree with Charlie, we should communicate. But I also heard what Mr. Dinesh just said, and I agree with him also that, you know, who do we owe parking spaces to and who do we not? I think the solution is if we could create a parking space at everybody's desk, everybody would be happy, because you go to certain places and you walk quite a ways when you park a vehicle, but here it seems like everybody wants to be right tight to where they are, so. But bottom line is safety, Paul. I agree with that, so I would go along with us doing this.
We'll have time to do the public hearings and that sort of thing, but just out of my own education, Paul, is there any rhyme or reason to when they, like right now it's on the north side and some streets are one side or the other, or is it why you decide to go on one side or the other, or is it basically what you said about the complaints that you may get from residents? Is that what creates it so much, or is there any sort of rationale behind which side you pick for parking or no parking?
I have no idea.
Oh,
That's all been done
That was
before I
done
was
years
here.
ago.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Some
Yeah.
streets you see on the north side, some you see on the south side, if there's any, you know, rhyme or reason to it.
Well, I just had a resident on Waters Terrace, Miss Kathy Morris, last week backing out of her driveway. She lives near the top of Waters Terrace, right on the corner. Pickup truck across the road with a plow on it, another car right tight to it, and she said she had to do like a 10-point turn to get out of her driveway. Ripped the front of her bumper off because she hit her snowbank because there was just no room there, so.
I went by today, they were parked up all the way around the corner.
Yeah.
So if it is a safety issue and an issue with the residents that live there, I think that we probably should do something.
Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned about where they're going. But I guess we deal with that when it happens.
Well, we can't just go up there and put no parking signs up, we gotta have a public hearing and everything on it.
And,
I mean, basically, that's why I was
like
bringing it up
Chuck said, are we
tonight.
gonna notify the school too that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think we notify them technically by law, all we have to do is put it in the paper, but I think that transparency is being upfront. It's not like the county has late resolutions that nobody knows about and they pass them after the fact, like they had at the last meeting on this whole thing. I don't go through that, so,
So I nominate you to talk to Brian Fenn.
and I will. I will.
I think some people at school already know what we're
Yeah.
thinking about doing,
Yeah.
if they'd had some.
I will, and like I
Can I-
said, my argument would be, it's huge, it's a safety issue too.
Yeah.
It's
And I-
biggie.
I let them know that, you know, public comments will be next month for it, so they're more than welcome to come.
So is that something, Joe, you can?
Yeah,
put
if you
that
want-
together? Oh, basically, it's just changing two words.
If you want to go ahead and schedule the public hearing for
For
your
next
next meeting,
month, yeah.
well, I'll get a local law over here to you within the next couple of days.
So if everybody's agreeable,
Yeah.
somebody make a motion to schedule a public hearing on that for next month,
Yeah, it'd be March 16th.
March 15th?
16th.
16th.
Yeah.
So move.
Second?
I'll second. All for it.
All in favor?
Aye.
A draft local law tax cap override. We started work on the, somewhat on the budget. The main thing is, there's certain things we have to do as far as the state's concerned. And I'm not saying we're gonna go over the tax cap, but we need to, basically schedule a public hearing for this for also March 16th. We need a motion to, and basically, once our budget is done, if we don't go over the tax cap, we don't have to adopt it, but if we do go over the tax cap, then we can adopt it at our, when we do our final budget stuff, but we have to move forward with this ahead of time, or we won't be able to if we do go over the tax cap.
So it's just in case, basically.
It's just in case, but we also, like I say, we have, according to law, we have to have a public hearing.
I don't think so.
I'm hoping we're not gonna go over, but,
We pass this every year, I don't.
Yeah.
but it's this time of year where we have to do it. so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for to set a public hearing for the March 16th meeting
4
Local
PM.
local law and go
4
over
p.m.
the tax cap.
for the local law of the
Other than
tax
that,
cap
it's fine.
override.
Just make sure the dates are good.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else on that we might need to know, Joe?
No, we'll just go ahead and, local law is good, there's one more change in the date that I just went over with it, and then you should be in good shape.
Yeah, I'll do it so far.
Be surprised how often
Okay, municipal solutions, what I'm looking, I need there is a motion to, basically, we gotta upgrade their,
Yeah.
do an amendment to upgrade their contract
now, so that they have it, it's adopted.
to increase, it may not use all of it, but projected possible increase of 7,000. Basically what that is, some of it's, we can blame on EFC because of their timeline on getting stuff back to us. It's basically on the 5 Streets project, trying to close everything out with the sewer and water. And it's taking a little longer than originally was planned, and like I say, most of that we can blame on EFC. But that's why the fees are gonna increase from Municipal Solutions.
And Joe, I would add that you also have, there's money in the budget for that. You had an allowance built into that for me for that project.
So we need a motion to move forward on that one.
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this next one, Lewis County Solid Waste Sludge Disposal. That, probably everybody's wondering, what's that? Basically, I talked with Kip Turp, he's the head of solid waste up there at the transfer site. And if you remember back, we wrote a letter to the county and asked for, they waive our tipping fees when we do our lagoon sludge removal. And basically, the legislators were fine with it. They said they'd waive them. But I'm finding out, basically, those tipping fees are coming right out of Kip's budget. He said, no wonder the legislators were happy to waive the fees. And so basically what we do, they have like a large septic tank up there that's pumped. Maybe every 2 weeks, sometimes maybe only once a month, and that sludge is all hauled down to our sewer plant. It doesn't really amount to a lot that we charge them monthly, but talking with Paul and sewer plant operators and things, I think it'd be a nice gesture on our part if we waive those solid waste sludge fees for at least 3 years, and then take another look at it in 3 years. And I'd like to send them a letter stating that, if the board would approve. The municipal board was on board with this, because if you were to crunch the numbers on what the tipping fees are gonna save us on our sewer project, it's a good deal for us, and this is a good deal for them, to kind of help them all level.
Mayor, I'm all for that. My question to Mr. Russell is, could a future board of ours say that doesn't hold any water like what happened to us?
We could, another board could act. I mean, you're not gonna bind another board to change it, but for what you're doing now, it's perfectly legit.
I'm sorry, I didn't get what you're asking, Dan.
I'm worried that if we can pass this in good faith, and if it's, the same thing could happen if we had a different board. I'm all for it. I think it's
Oh, I see what you're
a
doing.
gesture.
Another board could change.
Yeah,
the
we can
action.
change it. Hopefully they wouldn't, but I mean, like I say, it's, what they're doing for us is gonna make a savings for us, and we can well afford to give them a little savings
Yep.
on this
Yeah,
department.
I will make that motion that we send a letter that we are willing to waive the fees for at least 3 years.
I'll second.
Yeah. And like I say, in the letter, we'll just say, in 3 years, we'll pick, because who knows, there might be a massive expansion up there, and then we, right now, it's, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I think we need to go back on the local sidewall law amendment. Does anybody out here have any public comment on that? Go ahead, Henry.
What are you planning to amend?
Pardon?
What are you planning to amend?
On the sidewalk law? We're not admitting anything, we're adding.
We're adding some words.
Henry, do you want a copy? So on here, it's just, they're adding from the part where it says in addition, it's just basically about tractor trailers and people parking on the sidewalk. Oh, no.
It's saying instead of at 6 o'clock to snowblow your sidewalk, Henry, you need to get out there at 5.
Doesn't affect me, so I don't care.
And you need to be mine too.
John Urino will do yours.
Hey, if he does, it'll be the best sidewalk kept in Lowville, and nobody keeps a sidewalk better than John. Nobody, he's phenomenal.
He was working on East State Street, making them look really good today, I'll tell you. Okay, we need a motion to close public hearing now.
Just a minute, Joe. I'd like to
Oh,
add in a little bit. To go along with this, about hydrants and the crosswalks abutting your property. Could this be added into that? I know that crosswalks were, Mullins on South State Street. You can't use a crosswalk coming from his side because the bank was about 3 foot high. Could you add in about hydrants? Because I've had people ask me about hydrants, and I said, it's always been a kind of an unwritten law that if you had a hydrant on your property, for your own sake, if there's a fire there, making sure it's dug out so we could, operate the hydrant. But I noticed the crosswalks, a lot of places where they aren't cleaned. So could you add in hydrants and crosswalks into this where it abuts your property to be cleaned?
problem with that, well, you got a lot of senior citizens out there that aren't gonna be able to go out there and do hydrants and crosswalks. I mean, basically, the village, we were just, I think a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, cleaning all the hydrants. I mean, the village does go out and clean them out. I mean, but they have to get the streets first.
I've seen, and I know that, I've seen Paul's crew out there doing it, but if you're going to put the sidewalks to the people to keep clean, why not add these two things in?
Well, the thing we're
As long
adding to
as
the
all
sidewalks
you're doing.
basically is, people are blocking the sidewalks with trucks, trailers. That's what we're putting into the law, that you can't block basically, the only thing we're adding, it says,
The crosswalks would still be the sidewalks anyway, wouldn't they?
That's what
Technically,
that was part of my
I think
thinking.
they
The
are.
crosswalk is
We
part
have
of the
to-
sidewalk.
Because I did notice one up on Park Ave, actually, where Trinity and Park come together, and that one, we were walking just last night, and that one hasn't been cleaned out, coming on Trinity from North Park Ave, put it that way. On the opposite side of the road is Henry.
Yeah, there's other places around the village.
You
where
know, it
the
hasn't been done all
crosswalks are
year, I
wide.
don't think, because we had to walk around to get onto the sidewalk when we crossed the road. But I would consider that part of the sidewalk anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I have to
But
look at.
in that
the code
case,
for
whose
sure.
responsibility is it, you know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of a, so I kind of get what you're coming from there.
Well, I believe this code right here that basically it keeps people from parking on the sidewalk
Right.
with vehicles. It's got nothing to do with.
What I'm saying is, do we consider, whose responsibility do we consider? You know where I'm at,
yeah.
Trinity and Park, that house that's vacant right there. It's a big old house that's vacant. Big white house.
Yeah, I know when.
Who is it, Henry?
Because Ward sent them a few notices, I know.
It's that big white house on the corner of Trinity and Park.
Is that John, is that Hershey's?
Yes.
Yes, that's the one.
He's been dead for a while, nobody's,
Right, so whose responsibility is it there? You got a sidewalk on Trinity, you got a sidewalk on Park. Whose responsibility is it to clean that crosswalk out there, right there? Would it be that person's? Because he actually corners there, it would be that owner's responsibility? Or is he just responsible for the sidewalks?
We have to look at the code and see what it says.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Don't think there's anything clear in the codes.
No,
that
that's what I mean, I
states
think
it.
that's what Dick was getting at, you know, I mean, should we be including the crosswalks that abut your property too, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I mean, we try to get as many as we can when we're out.
The problem, and Tim, I would hope that if somebody could keep it open, they would. The problem you run into that is, when you're doing a crosswalk, the plows are gonna come along and refill it back in, and that's gonna not set well with some people. But a good steward will do the best they can. And a good steward certainly would keep
I mean,
the fire hydrants open. But I question whether legally we can make somebody keep a fire hydrant open.
No, I think you gotta, I think the, fire department may be responsible for that. I'm not really sure.
And it's unfair to think that we're gonna have volunteers do it, so that becomes a thorny issue. And over my way, we don't have to worry because we got a guy that keeps them all open without fail. But I'm sure there's certain places in town where they're not.
Yeah, Joe has never been the fire department's responsibility for the fire hydrants.
Okay.
But basically, for years, the village, if the homeowner hasn't got them cleaned out, the village goes by.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm on a dead-end street, and they come over and clean out my neighbors all the time, 'cause I keep mine clean, but they.
What's that?
I remember that.
I don't have one in front of mine.
I've seen villages ask
You're gonna be
homeowners to do it, but normally it's the village, I mean, the village owns and maintains the water line, just like the sewer line, just like everything else.
Well, they own and maintain the sidewalk too, but they have.
And that's a good point.
They have a provision that requires the homeowner to deal with the sidewalk.
Yeah.
What did you say? What was
Said
that?
you own the sidewalk, but you have a provision legally that require, that you can require the owner to maintain it.
Who owns the sidewalk?
It's part of the street.
The village
By-
owns
by
all the
law.
sidewalks?
Yeah, you own the sidewalk.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
I've been asking that question for years.
Well, it's part of the right of way. It's in the right of way of the road.
So now we're telling the people that we own sidewalks, that you've gotta fix them.
But no, you can legally require the property owner to maintain the sidewalk in front of the property. That's the statutory provision and that you've taken advantage of, but you still own it.
The next problem I have then, as we go further on that is, it's great that we tell people to take care of their sidewalks and fix them, and I'm all for safety and I want them to, but half of this village doesn't even have a sidewalk, and they're the ones that'll come in and complain about the people that do. So, but that's for another day.
Well, we don't own the people who don't have sidewalks, we don't own any sidewalks.
Well, snow and crosswalks is nothing
Well,
new.
my opinion of the
I've asked that
crosswalks
question,
is,
Joe, for years.
it's part of the sidewalk, that's my
I've never
opinion.
gotten a direct answer.
Well, I think we
I
need
wasn't
to-
trying to say it wasn't.
I know, I think we'll take a look at that in the code, just to make sure. But I don't, we've got this provision considered tonight.
But the other thing I'm thinking, worst case scenario, we send letters if they don't clean their sidewalk, send letters, make sure they clean out the crosswalk too. If we get a complaint, but there again, we have to have a complaint before we send a letter.
I think we should just ask the people when it comes to crosswalks right now to do the very best that they can for the sake of each other, to keep the sidewalks, fire hydrants, and crosswalks open to the very best of their
Well,
ability.
last year was forced to clean the crosswalk because the bank was about 10 feet high. Right where the crosswalk was, and they did clean it up. And the village was the ones that made them do it.
Okay, so we have a motion then to close that public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on a sidewalk amendment.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have another motion to adopt that local law amendment?
I'll make a motion to adopt the local law
I'll second.
sidewalk amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay. Recall February newsletter, anybody have any questions on that? If they do, Mickey's right here.
Mayor?
Do you have anything to add, Mickey, on that?
No, just next rate card board meeting will be in March.
Can I go back under new business or unfinished business or what have you? We got a notice from Pratt Northam that they have approved $2,500. And we got a notice from AmeriQ that they're giving us $750 for the music and the Citizen of the Year Award to use any way we wish to use it. And I'm going to ask the village board that we allow $200 for the Citizen of the Year Award that would buy a plaque and give a gift certificate to the winning applicant, to a restaurant, and to the person that submitted the winning applicant. And the other $550 to go towards the music. I also would like to ponder the idea of having a movie night in the park for the kids as part of that Tuesday deal to look at, and if we can bring a screen in and have it truly be a family affair where we bring a band in and maybe have a movie at 9 o'clock that'll last for an hour and a half for the kids after school's out, so that we don't have to worry about bedtime and that, and truly make something a true family event. And I would like to, on a couple of nights, have 2 bands and start at 5 instead of 6. When I attended the fire department's meeting in February, because I missed the last one, I'm hoping that, and we've discussed it some, I guess, Joe, it's a fair statement, somehow we're going to get the fire department involved. Maybe just for the kids to be able to see the trucks. They may have a chicken barbecue, have it a true night. But I don't think any of that, it hasn't been finalized, but I think the reception of the idea was good. So I just wanted to bring anybody up to speed, and I'm hoping that we can have $200 for the Citizen of the Year Award to pay for the plaque and the gift certificates of $50 each to go to a restaurant. $50 is about what it costs to go get a meal now. That's what I'd like, if possible. I think the music in the park went over well, and we got some bands that are very interested in coming this year. So, thank you.
Okay, village attorney, do you have anything, Joe?
I don't believe so unless you've got questions about anything.
The only thing I have, if anybody out there knows of anybody that they'd like to be on the Valley View Housing Authority, please let me know. I'm gonna have a vacancy at the end of next month. If anybody's interested, or knows of anybody that might be interested in being on it, let me know.
But you,
Clerk treasurer, do you have anything?
No, just that we've started looking at the budget. So hopefully we'll have a draft by next meeting. So if anybody has anything, I know Randy's not here. I've already talked to Paul and got some of his items for the upcoming year, but if there's anything else that maybe hasn't been mentioned, let me know so I can try and get it in there.
Okay, right, Randy's not here, but I talked with Randy today, and when it comes to big ticket items for his budget, I have them to give them to Danielle, so we'll be able to keep moving on the budget. Superintendent, do you have anything?
I don't have much. It's been kind of a busy month with the crazy weather that we've had. We've had a couple of water main breaks. If you've been out and around, you see our loader, our new loader with the blower on. Seems to be working really well. We're getting a lot of the side streets done now. I think it's a good investment for the village. That's it.
Capital and future planning?
Talked a little bit about the comprehensive plan. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Personnel, I'd like just a short executive session. Basically, I think we've got hammered out a new police contract. I just want to give the details to the board. It's basically contract issues. Finance?
Just got a question. Wendy was wondering, I think when I walked in, Dan, she was asking you about it too, about where you're at with the judges one. It was just confusing, so.
I told her to go back and review if she felt I'd missed a month to let me know. She didn't understand my very neat handwriting, what one of them said, and it was, I put January to April on the one. She didn't understand that because the one judge only had one transaction for the whole 4 months.
I was gonna say, I've been doing that much.
That's what and she's gonna look, I think other than Judge Scordo, who I'm gonna do when she gets done at the end of March, and Ann Murphy, or whatever her name is, Amy Murphy, I'm gonna do them all at once when we close the books for the courts.
Okay. Because they've done, what, March 31st?
31st.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm gonna get caught up during our week of vacation coming up for the office one, so I think that's up to September right now. She only had you up to June or something, I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think that, because I came in and did a bunch of them, and so I think that she'll go back and look, and if there's a discrepancy or disagreement between her and I, we'll go through it all and figure out what it is.
But that's it for the audits.
Okay, liaisons, fire department?
Told you what I'm hoping, I will attend the next meeting, and whatever goes on there, I will keep you informed. Our fire chief is here. I don't know if he has anything he wants to throw or add to us. Okay.
Police department?
No.
Planning board and zoning board?
Next meeting's the end of this month. Nothing since the last time we had a meeting.
Okay, anything we need to know on the municipal board?
Not really. We've already talked about the sewer, or the water rate for France, so.
Town, they got a meeting, what, tomorrow?
Gonna go to that.
County?
I think we've talked enough about that tonight.
Recreation, I don't think there's anything on that.
Nothing specific, no, not quite yet for summer rec and wrapping up the winter stuff.
Rico, we've had their newsletter. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about on that?
One thing I'll add, Joe, is that we have been working with Cassandra Buell, starting to do the closeout of the paperwork for the shared service and grant funds. So we got a call with DOS coming up here soon to talk to them, so we've been working on it.
Well, that's the other thing, because I got some paperwork the other day. We also got that, get money through NYSERDA for our street lights too.
Yep.
Because that's one reason I was talking to Sean Cox, because I need to know the wattages and dates installed so I can fill out the paperwork for National Grid.
Yep.
That's another grant money and everything.
Yep.
Of course, hopefully. All right, brings us down to public comment. Anybody have any new public comment? Okay, I guess we need a motion to go into executive session for contract issues.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for contract negotiations.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.